You know, Mario is an iconic video game character. Let's be real, he is. And to be honest, he's kind of like the Mickey Mouse of the video game industry. How Disney, their mascot is Mickey. But when it comes to Nintendo, their mascot is Mario. But where Mario truly started was back in the 1980s with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. However, he wouldn't truly get his own game until 1985, Super Mario Bros. And today, I am going to be reviewing this classic. I will say, for a while, it's been kind of hard for me to decide how to truly rate it as a whole, but since I don't technically use numbers anymore, I kind of had a thought of what I could rate it at the time, but now that I'm using more of this new rating system, I want to rate it how I truly feel about this classic gem, Super Mario Brothers for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Heck, video games would not be where they are now if it wasn't for Mario stepping in to save the day, because the gaming industry was collapsing after the failure of E.T., the video game. But yeah, I want to go ahead and review this classic, because without this game, well, Mario wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't even have Super Smash Bros. If it wasn't for Mario. Nor Sonic the Hedgehog, for that matter. So let's go back to where it truly began, when the gaming industry hit its peak with Nintendo's Italian Plumber. Now, technically, the first game, kind of not. Yeah, I scratched it. There really isn't much of a plot-driven story. You're just traveling to different levels to save the princess. That's the objective. Beat Bowser multiple times until you finally get to her. Obviously, the music in this game is classic. This was the start of something great. It's a classic tune. Nobody can forget that classic Mario Brothers theme. Nobody. Most of the music in the game is iconic. But I will say there's only, 3 songs that play in this game as a whole. The gameplay, it's your typical platformer. Well, technically you could say it was the first platformer. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could have been Mario vs. Donkey Kong that would have been the first. You just make sure not to get hit from the Goombas or the Koopa Troopas, or even Bowser's attacks. You get to point A to point B. Overall, it's a fun, simple game where you need to get to the end of the level, but I'm going to just say this game is very, very, very challenging, because it is the first Mario game, and you know how these old retro games are usually difficult. I'm going to say you may be a bit frustrated, though I played it on the Switch, so it was much easier to just pause, rewind, fix my mistake. But at the time, you lost your progress, you lost it. That was the gist at the time. I have the original, it's actually somewhere there, yeah. I have the original game with the Duck Hunt edition, but my NES, sadly, was actually my uncle's NES, doesn't work. So, I will say Corey Michaels Movies did give me an NES, but when I found out we had an NES, gave it back to him, and I'm stuck with that. But I played it on the Switch. I was able to get through all levels that way. Yeah, it may be a cheap way of beating it, but boy, these games are challenging. This is a challenging game. I can't even imagine some people able to get past it. Even speed running it. I don't know how you can do it, but they can do it. This is what really inspired Sonic the Hedgehog. The gameplay mechanics, you have your power-ups that can help Mario out, or at least get through enemies like fireballs, star, etc. And the remotes, well, let's just say if you were playing on the classic NES remote, there you go, but I was playing it on the Switch remote, so gameplay mechanics are fine. Everything works well, and the camera is just positioned where Mario is on the platform. Not much to say. There is a multiplayer in this game, and you can play as Luigi, though you mostly have to take turns. So it's not really a long game, because back then these games weren't that long. Or when they made these games, it wasn't at a long length story until you got to the SNES There's like 8 levels, so yeah, not much, but the game is challenging, so it will take you forever to complete it if you're playing it on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, but if you have the Switch version, then it'll be a piece of cake. As for replay value, well, you could come back and replay it again if you want, maybe with somebody, maybe beat your time score, stuff like that. It's a pretty simple but challenging game. There's not really much after the fact when you beat it, but, playing it for nostalgia. You could probably hop back on and just play for nostalgia if you grew up during those days, or if you want to go back to a time where things were just nostalgic, which that game would be one. I remember playing it when I was 4 years old, along with Super Mario World. Well, Super Mario Brothers, the very first one, it's a classic. What can I say? I mean, I would just literally say the first in the series that, well, yeah, started a genre. So I'm just going to give it the classic edition because it is. It's the very first one, and you can't. I mean, nowadays, games are better, and this is. It's older, but you can appreciate this game for what it was at the time and where it started something here. So yeah, I would say it's a classic. If you like the Mario Brothers series and you want to see where it all started for just the Super Mario Brothers franchise, then the NES Super Mario Brothers will be the place to start. If you want to know where it all started, this is where most of his power-ups came from. It's a classic. What can I say? Well, I hope you enjoyed this review episode. If you like what you saw here, follow me. But then again, I also have Discord where you can chat about whatever. You could chat about when you first played this. What do you guys think about it? Leave your opinions either here or on Discord. Anyways, peace.